They gave her GM because she was starting to act a little nuts, like mental patient issues. And during that GM, she just let go and peed on the floor. So they took her and threw her in a cold shower with all her clothes on, and then brought her back dripping wet to stand in front of the house again. But she wasn't cooperating because she was in the middle of a nervous breakdown. So they spanked her.
That's one resident spanking another resident, and it's done with a ping pong paddle.
For the first 2 years that I was there, they would spank with a clipboard.
Clipboards, hands, anything,
Usually a person won't get spanked more than once or twice.
Usually when they use a paddle, they may have 4 or 5 people spank a person like 3 to 5 times each.
They'd have the students lined up, 5 or 6 of them, and they would each have to take a turn at paddling the wrongdoer.
So she was being spanked repeatedly in wet pants.
Well, when they spanked me, they didn't have to spank me, so I turned black and blue. Simple as that. That was just one time after another. I was so sore I couldn't sit down.
Kim had scabs that had to be 3/4 of an inch thick on her rear from being paddled.
Oh, yes, it was painful. I had to learn fast to hold back my tears because I thought, I'm not going to give them that. I won't look weak in front of them. Better to look angry. I would cop an attitude instead. Even if that got me in more trouble, it was better than giving them my tears.
They thought I needed it because I supposedly was a terribly big baby.
If you're going to act like a baby, you should be treated like a baby.
So after hours and hours of this GM, which was horrific GM, she was just gone, just catatonic.
There's no federal regulation on these places, and the state regulations are very weak. Nail salons are more regulated than guys who come and kidnap your kid at 2 in the morning.
The treatment we saw called for isolation.
And that they're more regulated than facilities that lock up.
They would put you in the boxing ring with somebody who was sure to kick your ass.
You're supposed to be fighting for the house, truth, justice, the Elan way. You put a pair of gloves on, and the other person put a pair of gloves on.
The director goes, ding.
They made the best man win.
And you never won. We never allowed the bully to win.
You might win 1 or 2 rounds.
No, I didn't even try. I just went down like this.
You might beat this person, and you might beat that person, but they keep coming. They keep coming. They keep sending a fresh person.
And when that person got tired, they would send somebody else in.
You were boxing 6, 7 fresh people.
So, if you actually fought, you'd really get beat up.
Yeah, well, it's sort of, you could say, a kill situation.
Violence is ultimately futile, in the real world. Even if you do win a fight, there's always someone bigger than you. There's always a cop there to arrest you for assault. No good is really going to come of being violent.
I'd always heard before I had seen one that the only people who get rings are those who actually are violent and lash out at others. But I saw people get rings who did nothing other than sit in the corner and refuse to respond. And they used the ring almost as if to try to shock them into responding, to wake them up.
I was an expediter, and I was stationed at the kitchen door, POing the shot downs who were washing dishes and scrubbing the floor. And one resident put on his coat to take the garbage out, and I forgot he went out there and shut the door behind him, and he ran away. So I was shot down for that. And for me, I felt terribly guilty, because if I had been doing my job, he wouldn't have run away and come back and be brutalized.
Who is this?
This is Michael Skakel.
Did you want anyone at Elan to know you were related to the Kennedys?
Absolutely not.
They gave him a general meeting. He was being confronted as to whether he murdered some girl, and he kept saying no, no, no. He was put in the ring. They broke his nose, and he kept saying no, 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 and then would get beat again until he submitted and said he didn't know if he had done it or not.
Just to say this first, so much stuff that you could never imagine, that you couldn't line it up in your brain, happened so fast.
Everybody was genuinely scared of what the next 10 minutes would bring.
You know, you can go from the electric sauce to the rings, to the spanking, to the GMs where they're slamming you up against the wall, and then the haircuts.
And you never knew who it was going to happen to. It could be you.
And it was going to happen to you. There was no way to prevent it. You could be as good as possible, and then they would deal with you for being a goody two-shoes.
Just constant violence is the way I look back on it.
General fucking meeting!
You can't get no lower than watching a person, snot's coming out of their nose.
Stand right there!
People were yelled at right out in the open, right where they stood.
They're throwing up.
70% of my time I was being yelled at.
They're pissing shit on themselves.
You were basically therapeutically killed.
They're bleeding from the mouth.
It was a fucking nightmare.
Then you take the person, they throw that stinking, that nasty ass electric sauce on them.
They put cigarette butts in it,
God
leftover food.
almighty, I watched people go into the toilet one time and pull out water from the toilet.
And they roll them around in there.
They would dump my food on me,
Pick the person up,
thrown at me.
slam them up against the wall.
Throw somebody against one wall,
They would just kick your ass.
run over and slam them against this wall, blood everywhere. All the while screaming at them.
And the only sound that you
And then
could
they
hear
slam them
was
against
the
this
person
wall.
screaming for his life.
I need some fucking Thorazine!
It's insanity.
Everybody runs up there.
Scream and swear at you.
I'm 16 years old. I have to deal with fucking mental patients.
Taking light bulbs and cutting themselves
Kids
hundreds
drinking
of times.
fucking bleach to get fucked up so they can get out of here.
Students can't escape here.
They would just break you down.
Throw you back in that same shit all over
You would
again.
sit in the corner. You would stand in
Your
the corner.
clothes ripping off
And they'll
you.
have general meetings where you get spit on every day.
Slam you against the
Now,
wall.
that is robbing him of his dignity
And that's all you would do.
and robbing him of his freedom.
And repeating it a couple times.
And yes, I'm guilty of it.
You give.
I'm going to hurt anybody
Too
who
fucking
wants
much.
me.
You quit. You broke. You stopped.
Do you still think it's worth it?
There is some real life, like, bullshit and turmoil. There's no way that that can get, like, sugar-coated at all. Like, that is... It wasn't every day. It was, like, 3/4 of the fucking existence there was outrageousness and, like... 15-year-olds should not be hog-tying and, like, zip-tying 17-year-old kids. Anybody could know that. Like, Dominic should not have had to fucking break fucking two people's arms to get attention, you know what I mean? Like, throwing chairs into walls and shit, like... And if you are a normal person with enough self-control, I remember one thing I always did. I was like, I will not act out. I will not do that, because as bad as it sucks and as bad as it is whatever, I was like, these kids are just doing their fucking job because they want to get out of here.
Run away.